What is going on, everyone? I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com, here to give you guys my first impressions on a game called Company of Heroes 2, which is an excellent real-time strategy game in my opinion. Now, I'm a big fan of the original one, the original Company of Heroes plus the expansion, and then when I heard the announcement of a Company of Heroes 2, I got really excited and couldn't wait to see what it was about. And then when I got access to the beta, I was really impressed with it to the point where I was having so much fun, just like I did back with the original. And of course, there's a lot of improvements as well. So since this is a beta, you don't have access to the entire game right away. You only have access just to a small portion, which is alright. The small portion is pretty much focused on the multiplayer aspect, where you could face against AI opponents or other online players as well. I know this game will also feature a separate campaign, which I really look forward to, but fortunately, since this was not in the beta, I was not able to test that out and see what the story was like or anything. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be a nice surprise. I heard the campaign was going to be fun, but like I said, the main focus on Company of Heroes is its online player portion, because that's where the game pretty much shines. So if you're just getting it for the single player experience, that may not be the good reason. I would say the multiplayer aspect is like the best reason to get this game, because it's an excellent real-time strategy game. So first off, in the beta, I noticed some few improvements. Actually, no, before I get to that, I noticed some new aspects as well. So first off, in the beta, you're able to increase your progress tree up to about 40 levels. So I'm not sure what the maximum is, but you're just able to go up to the 40 levels. I currently was like at 10 in the beta. And then you're able to customize your style of play, which is a really interesting function, and I actually really got into this because I know it didn't have that option in the first Company Heroes. So since this is completely new, after I was looking deep into it, I actually got really hooked onto this new area. So you're able to customize your different play styles. So basically your intelligence and bullet time, so you're able to basically customize your units, the abilities your units has, and you're also able to add camouflage for your vehicles as well, which is a really nice thing to it. So you're able to do some customization with your units, which is a nice thing to see. So let me go ahead and jump into the actual gameplay. How do I feel about it in terms of facing online against other human players, and of course the AI. Most of the time I was facing against AI, so like I said, my skills in terms of facing other opponents in the real world are not so great, but that's why, like I said, I still keep hopping back onto this game. So I played a total of 6 online matches against human players. For the most part, pretty much everything was working excellent, just like you expect. There's at moments where I know it's not the cause of the game, it's cause of just the other human players, where it was lag involved. Like I said, the lag was not caused by the game, it was caused by the connection of the other online players. So it'll be to the point where you'll be playing, then you're gonna notice like this huge lag in the game. You think it's gonna be you or anything like that, but then you see this nice little message screen on the left hand side, which is extremely useful, by the way, where it says, oh, this player is causing lag in the game. So if someone is causing lag online, the lag is also going to affect you. And what I like is that after a certain amount of time, you're going to get this nice screen that says, what would you like to do to this player? This player is causing all this lag. Would you like to kick? And if enough votes are for kicking that player, then the player will be kicked out of the match and hopefully get the game rolling again. Or you could choose ignore and just let it fly type of thing. So which is a really nice function, and to the point where most of the time I was voting to kick a player because everyone was experiencing that issue. Like I said, it's not the game's fault, it's just the the online portion in terms of the other players. So like I said, which is a really nice function, it was pretty useful. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on. So in terms of the multiplayer aspect, in terms of gameplay, it's pretty much like you've played in the original Company of Heroes with some improvements as well. So let me go ahead and go into actually some of the maps. There's this snow map that I really like what they did with it. The snow map is what I was playing on most of the time in terms of an online match or scrimmage against the AI opponents. I really like how they did this. So not only does the snow map look beautiful, by the way, in terms of like when you amp up the graphics and stuff like that, which you do have a wide variety of settings to choose from, but the way they did it was really cool, like kind of like in a real life situation where you'll be playing on the snow map, and as you progress throughout the battle, you're gonna notice your screen starting to get fogged up even more. It's like, well, I'm having a hard time seeing my units, what's going on? Then you have an indication over the radio saying a blizzard is kicking in, make sure your units are safe. And basically what happens is that if your standard infantry units are out in the blizzard, you're gonna notice like this little thermometer meter right next to them. If you're gonna see blue if they're out in the blizzard. So if that decreases, I mean, you know, if that goes into a reach of 0, basically that unit is going to die, basically freeze to death. Like in a real life situation, if you're out in the cold with no source of heat, obviously you're going to pretty much freeze to death, right? And if your units are in a vehicle, they're going to be safe from the blizzard. And because one of the main things I noticed in the snow map is that you're able to build a fire pit. And when I first tried out the map, I was like, wow, what the hell's this fire pit about? I mean, what's the use for that? But then when the blizzard kicked in, I was like, oh, that's what it was for. There are fire pits throughout the snow map, so which is a really nice thing. So you're able like to have your units out. You pretty much like have them crawl through the blizzard. But just basically overall the blizzard section was really cool. You do have different varieties like the desert areas, the forest areas, and all that nice stuff. Like I said, you only had a small number of maps to play on in the beta. I know there's going to be a much wider variety to choose from, but just the snow map overall I was really impressed with, and I was like, wow, that is really cool. So it's probably one of the main maps I'm going to be playing on. Now, in terms of the units in the game, I noticed an improvement in terms of the animations of how the characters move and how they respond, and I noticed some interaction conversations with the units. Like if your units are idle in one spot and some are out in battle, if you're back into the base with the ones that are idle, not in any type of combat, I was listening in, I noticed they were having a conversation with each other, which I thought was really cool. So it's another nice function to see. And of course, when your units are in combat, you do have a nice new variety of tactics. Basically, they'll let you know pretty much 24/7 what the hell's going on the battlefield. So, for example, if an enemy has a tank, they're like, oh, enemy armor sighted, or we're taking heavy fire, we need to get the hell out of here, and things like that. They're basically going to tell you exactly what's going on the battlefield, leaving you, obviously, since you're controlling those units, you feel like you're the commander. It's like, alright, I'm controlling everyone on the battlefield, I need to know what's going on, and the game does let you know exactly what's going on, which is a really nice function. And of course, you still have the awesome tactics in the Company of Heroes game. For example, if the enemy is attacking you with an armored unit such as a tank or a vehicle, you do have the same tactic where if you go around behind the vehicles and shoot from the rear end of that vehicle, like with an anti-tank crew and stuff like that, you're able to do heavy damage to compare it if you were to attack a tank from the sides or the front. So you still have that, you know, the opportunity to basically where the vehicles have weaknesses, open spots where you're able to do massive amounts of damage. It was a really nice function. I like that they kept that. And of course, from the units, just like the original, you do have like 3 different generals you're able to choose from. Each has a specific tactic. Like, alright, this one is pretty much focused on, you know, like the airborne mechanics, this one's focused on the heavy artillery, and this one is focused on, you know, the heavy tank crew and stuff like that, which is really nice. So you do have basically, like I said, it's pretty much similar to the Company of Heroes 2 with improvements. And one of the things I noticed too is the barbed wire, because, you know, you're able to do tactics with your units. So if you're using a basic infantry unit, they're able to build sandbags to have a defensive perimeter in that area, which is a really nice thing, especially out on the battlefield, or if you're trying to set up an ambush. That's extremely useful. So I like that the units are able to build sandbags. And in terms of the engineers, they're able to build the landmines just like in the original. And I noticed the barbed wire is different, because in the original one they were just having like a string of barbed wire, but in this one they did it kind of differently, to where when you're using the barbed wire, you have these 4 points that show up when you get ready to build it. Yellow indicates that you could build pretty much in that location, and of course if you have a red icon in one of them, it shows that you can't build in that spot. And like they build in these 4 spots, and they basically set up like this huge barbed wire fence, which will slow the enemy infantry down, which is pretty cool. And it's kind of like the way that barbed wire set up, it kind of looks like you'll see something like that like in a boot camp training facility, which is really nice. So if your units reach the barbed wire, or if the opponents reach it, basically you're going to see the infantry units crawling underneath that barbed wire, indicating obviously what's supposed to do, which is slow down the opponents, which is a really nice thing. Obviously if you have a vehicle, you could just run that barbed wire over and go on with your normal average day life, which is a really nice thing as well. And another thing I noticed that I didn't see in the beta, unless if I wasn't looking in the right spot, is the other barricades, the one that you use for stopping enemy vehicles such as tanks and you know, just basically any vehicle overall. I'm not sure if they're going to have that in this game or if they took that out completely. I'm not sure. I hope we see that, whatever it's called, the anti-tank stopper or something like that. Basically that barricade for vehicles. Like I said, I don't know if it's in the game, but I hope we see it in the the full release, or like I said, they might have taken it out altogether. but we're just gonna have to wait and see. In terms of the battlefield, obviously, in the beginning, the battlefield is nice and clean. Everything's all peaceful. But once the game starts picking up in terms of the battle commencing, all hell breaks loose. You're gonna see pretty much bombs everywhere, just all kinds of chaos. Machine guns going off, tanks shooting at enemies, machine guns, it's chaotic. It's like really cool. It's like probably my favorite moment in the game is once the battle commences. It's just alright, who's gonna win? Alright, we're gonna push up this side, we're gonna flank on this. So pretty much all kinds of different strategy kicks in once the battle starts, which is the whole point of the game. Obviously, like I said, a real-time strategy game. And a new thing I noticed is in terms of the bombs. Now you have the artillery shells that come in to dominate a specific area, but a new one that I saw was the incinerator rounds, and that looked extremely cool. When I saw that option, I was like, wait, that's not the standard bomb, that's the incinerator rounds, meaning obviously if it lands, you're gonna have like this huge bonfire go on. And when I saw that hit, and on the PC, obviously it's only on the PC, but when I saw that hit, it looked absolutely beautiful. I was like, wow, that is really cool. It's to the point where the enemy had a bunch of units in that area in terms of an infantry base. Once that shell hit, man, they were completely done. I was like, wow, that is extremely cool. I can't wait to see what other new abilities there were. But like overall, like I said, I really enjoyed this beta. I was a big fan of the original one. I still am, and I definitely look forward to the second one. If you're a fan of the original Company of Heroes, then trust me, you're going to love Company of Heroes 2 with the improvements they've done with the game, the animations, and so much more. Like I said, I don't know too much about the campaign, but I heard that one's going to be good as well. But like I said, the main focus, it's multiplayer altogether. But anyways, like I said, if you guys want to try out the beta, I know if you pre-order on Steam, I'm not sure wherever else you actually get access to the beta, so you could try it yourself. But it's something I would definitely recommend if you're a fan of the original one. Definitely, you're going to love the second Company of Heroes, because I myself am looking forward to it. Even though I'm not great in terms of the online competitive mode, but like I said, I still find myself keep coming back to this game because of how much fun it is. But anyways, that's it for my first impressions. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave that in the comment section down below. And I know this game will be available here shortly. And yeah, that's it. And remember, Gamerfuzion empowers your gaming.